Hi everyone, I'm doing my next chapter of this book. It's by best-selling author John C. Maxwell, and he is a best-selling author on the New York Times. So I'm a speaker for him, and I got my license to be able to speak, to train, and to coach, and I do the speaking to help migrants who are coming into Canada, because I have been through the process and I've been here for 20 years now. The chapter today is the law of process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. So today John is giving examples of how consistency compounds. And he's provided a powerful example of a woman who earned very little money, but she stayed with the tax collectors in the US for her whole life. And she had earned just around $3,000 a month, but when she died, she left a legacy to organizations, and it was a huge amount. She left it to Yeshiva University, $22 million. So how is it possible that she did that? Well, she was investing, and she took her investments, and the investments, the interest or whatever she invested in, did very well. But what do you do if you're somebody like me who's in Canada and you've had very little employment? You've had, most of your life has been unemployment, short-term work, sporadic contracts, being let go because of injustice, because other people are making mistakes, and you're getting fired because people are not following direction, not setting up your ID properly, not doing what they're supposed to do, so your life is suffering. The only thing you can do is keep moving forward, because there is no other option. So unfortunately, some of us are not going to have that 22 million. We'll be lucky if we even have 1 million, unless we win the lottery. But our leadership can still compound. And the thing to remember is that you don't become a success overnight. You don't become a success in a day. It's the same thing as if you think about boxing. The boxing, what happens outside of the ring, the training, the process, everything that goes into that will lead to the ultimate victory. It's not what's happening in the ring at that time. And it's also about mindset. So when I was a little girl, I used to love Muhammad Ali. And I was quite surprised to see when I was following all the posts about Chris Christopherson, because I liked his music, just like I liked Elvis's music. I was quite surprised to see that even prior to him passing away, he was a Muhammad Ali fan. And I liked Muhammad Ali because his mindset was always that I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest and no one can touch me, and I'm going to defeat you. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Remember my name, Muhammad Ali. I used to adore him. I used to love him. But that's the process. That's the process. And it's all the work, the preparation, what we do before we get onto the job, before we get our speaking engagement, before we are the chair of governance and the vice chair for mentoring. It's all the work that's gone before that, so that when we get those positions, we're ready to tackle them. And leaders are learners. So with me, you've noticed that I've been doing a lot of reading. I do reading on the saints. I do reading on church teaching. I do reading on this, on leadership development, because I'm investing in myself. And by investing in myself, I can help others. If I'm not reading, if I'm not learning from others, then I'm not going to be able to navigate this culture, which is so different, because the culture in North America, in the US and Canada, is very emotive. The culture when you grow up in Britain or you grow up in Zimbabwe is very much focused on your thinking. So as you think, so you are. If you think you can do it, you will. If you think you are defeated, you will be. So I found it very hard here, because it was all about the emotions. It was all about feelings. It was all, and that's what marketing does. What does marketing do? It taps into people's feelings. If we see a Roger Federer wearing a cashmere sweater, or if we see Jennifer Aniston being on Vogue magazine, it's the feeling that, oh yeah, that's somebody that I look up to, and I would like to wear what they wear, or I would like to have what they have. It's tapping into the feeling. And so those are the things that we learn about when we come here. Because for us, at least for me, when I grew up, I didn't tap into feelings like that. It was like, if I work hard and I save my money, I'll buy my Porsche, I'll buy my Cadillac. If I work hard and I do what I'm supposed to do, things will work out for me, because the bad guys won't get rewarded with huge fines being paid for them, so they stay out of prison, like TD Bank is doing, and I'll be living in desperation. So it's a complete opposite way to how I grew up and how I thought and how I accomplished things. Even in South Africa, I was never allowed to feel sorry for myself at university. I was never allowed to play the victim. Even when I got attacked outside my residence at Trinity House, yes, my friend gathered around me, my friend Sabi. She told me, you can come, and she made me a cup of tea. We sat together, and then she sent me to my room. She's like, now you go sleep in your room. Tomorrow we'll organize counseling for you. So there was no feeling sorry for myself. There was no saying, oh, why did this happen to me? I just had to get on with it. So it's a process. You encourage development, matures people. It's a cultural issue, changes people, and it is difficult when there's a process. An event is different. An event encourages decisions, motivates people. It's a calendar issue, challenges people, and it's easy. It's like when you go on a retreat. You're going away for that retreat, and while you're on that retreat, you're going to be nourished, you're going to be given tools to make decisions, you're going to have a date set aside for it, and it's going to help you, to challenge you, it's going to nurture you. And then it's easy, because for that time you're away from the reality of life. But the process is much harder when you're going through it as a migrant. When you're coming here and you're applying for jobs and they're not working out, and then you get a job somewhere like at TD or BMO, and people are not happy for you because their sons and daughters are not getting those jobs. But they're not looking at all the work you did to get there. They're not looking at the process you took. They're not looking at the time you invested. They just upset because they didn't get that. Or you get other people coming in from India who are boasting to you that they bought their credentials, somebody wrote their papers for them at U of T, and they got their degrees and diplomas. And here I am doing all the right things, and my life is not working out. So consistency compounds, but the circumstances that we're dealing with also make a difference. So that's what I look at when I look at fighting my way up, when I look at climbing the career ladder, when I look at opportunities that opened up for me. Some of the opportunities I didn't ask for, I didn't want. Like when they asked me to take on being chair of governance for Greener City, I said to them, I don't want that. I'm an HR professional. I'll deal with the HR. And they're like, yeah, that's fine, but we don't have anyone to do governance, so you have to do it. So I had to do it. But sometimes that's how opportunities come up. You're doing something, you're in the right place at the right time, and you take on the opportunities that come up, that are presented. So basically, John Maxwell is just reminding us, champions don't become champions in the ring. They are merely recognized there. So all these titles that I tell you I've received, Employee of the Month, all the gift cards my managers bought for me, they bought me Starbucks coffee cards or Tim Hortons or Amazon gift cards. All of those are part of my rewards. when you file your taxes, you only file it on the 36,000 that you earn or the 38,000 that you earn. But there's a lot of other rewards that the company gives me that are not in my salary. I can't use those to buy a house or to do something like that, but they still make a difference in my life because I'm not somebody that goes to Starbucks often. I'm not somebody that goes out and buys donuts often. So for me, it's a treat. And that's part of my hard work paying off for me. And so too, other migrants can do that. When new people come on, it's a motivation in the company because they get selected for getting the top scores, for getting the good scores. And in many companies, they try to keep the emotion out of that because otherwise you have what happened at TD happening. And believe you me, I know, because when I left there, my relationships were very tight with the people that I worked with. And that's why even till today, when I get a job in the banks, if I get a job at HSBC or BMO, people think falsely that I got that job because somebody liked me, which is not true. If I hadn't done a good job, the agencies would not have put me forward. I would not have had good references. I would not be recommended for those positions. They don't give me the jobs because they like me. They might like me, but if I don't perform, do you think they're going to keep me in that company? They're not. So it's important to remember that as migrants. The work comes beforehand. And all these people that are going around boasting, LOL, laugh out loud, oh, they're taking the gift cards. It's the Americans doing it. And then when they phone here for customer service, we get screamed at and shouted at and yelled at. What did they do at TD? It's the Americans that did it. So it's them. And then we have to pay the price here in Canada. So those are the points to remember. Some of the things that you can do if you're interested in leadership development. You can make a list of books that you'd like to read. And you can decide that, okay, I'm going to read one book over 3 months or one book over a month. And you can make time every day, even if it's to read just a few pages or a chapter. You can decide to do that. You can make a commitment to say, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes a day. I love it when the pool is opened here because I love to swim. And that's how I keep fit and I keep healthy. And that's how I lose the weight. But every time I lose the weight, I come back to where I'm meant to be, and then I lose my job. And then because of the stress and the tension and the lack of income, I'll end up putting on the weight again. I can eat the same amount, I can eat less, but I'll end up becoming overweight, even eating less and everything because of the stress. And you can see it in my photos. I have different photos from different months that I've put up on Instagram. You can see. You can look at my weight from 2018, when I went to Prospect to spend time with family, to now, and you can see how nice I looked, how slim I was. And then with all the stress and the lack of income, the lack of job stability, being punished for what other people do, I do put on the weight. And then I'll get a job, I'll have an income for a while, I'll lose the weight, I'll be healthy, and then again, the same thing happens. So it's an ongoing cycle. And it's been going on for over 22 years. So eventually I know my heart will give out. I know I'll probably suffer from a stroke or something like that. But it's the circumstances. It's not my fault. I'm doing everything I can to keep healthy, to keep fit. I'm eating right. I'm applying for jobs. So when my time is up, my time is up. And that might sound cruel, but it isn't. When I learned about death, it was because we had a budgie when we were kids, when we were children in Rhodesia. And this budgie died. One day we woke up and this budgie was dead. It was a blue budgie. So my dad talked to us about this bird, and we were very upset. I was very upset because I didn't understand death and what it was. And he said, no, this is what happens in life. The birds die, people die, plants die. And we had a little burial ceremony in our yard. We put this little bird in a box and we buried it, and then we covered it with soil. And the same thing used to happen when our dogs used to die. So it's just the reality of life. It might sound like I'm being callous, but I'm not. Everybody is going to die. And as Christians, for many of us, it's not an ending. We're going home to be with the Lord. So sometimes it upsets people. It used to upset me when my mother used to say, I hope God takes me quickly. But now I say, you know what? I hope God takes me quickly too. Because I've suffered enough that I'm ready. You can suffer enough that you say, okay, you know what, God, if this is what life is about, then I'm ready. You take me when you're ready. Because this is not what life is supposed to be about. Constantly fighting evil, constantly saying, why are you doing this to me and to thousands of us who are doing the right things, and we're not getting the right results. And if you're a leader of a department or a business organization, you can help people to grow. You can help people by influencing them, making sure they feel valued, rewarding them, and you watch how your company will explode with growth, with positive growth, not the growth that's taking place in Credit Suisse with its murders and not providing references and putting the policy above the person and saying that, okay, we're going to cover this up because journalists find out. Not the type of growth that took place at TD in the US or HSBC, or with women in banks stealing money that is equivalent to the growth of an economy, like happens in China. Not the growth of the Great Reset, where we're all supposed to be happy renting and not owning. It will be the exact opposite growth. And that's the type of growth I like. But if you want your companies to fail, if you want your clients to all be taken away, if you want your work to be taken away from Canada, put into other countries like South Africa, like happened to us, carry on doing what you're doing. Carry on letting people take their phones onto the floor. Carry on spoiling them. Carry on promoting the corrupt, and see. Because it won't just be my life suffering. I know people laugh at me and they say, oh, look at the graduate. Look what happened to her life. When it happens to your family, then you'll know. But if you want to follow the law of process, if you want to not only do right, but live right, then follow these principles. If you don't care whether you land up in jail or not, if you don't care when police send you emails like they did to me accusing me of lying, then you won't care. But I care, and sometimes I care too much. But I care, and I care about my own life. So if I care about my own life, I'm going to try to help others succeed, because we rise by lifting others. There was no point in Robert Mugabe going to jail, or Mandela going to jail, or Ahmed Kathrada going to jail. There was no point in all that. And what these stalwarts told me is true. They came here to this, we had events here in Canada that myself and the representative for UCT organized, University of Cape Town. And LP Sachs told me, they are going to take everything away from you, and they are going to punish you for nothing. And I said, why? And he said, why? He said, my dear, you represent our country as well as theirs. And that's exactly what they did to me. I didn't believe that they would, but that's exactly what this country has done to me. And it broke my heart, because I still had faith that they wouldn't do it, and they did it. So you choose. God sees everything. We fly like a cloud unto the Lord, because He's our lover. So you choose.